You're listening to the Decentralized Talk Podcast, your crypto connection.
Decentralized Talk. Decentralized Talk.
All right, guys. Welcome to another outstanding episode of the Decentralized Talk Podcast, the best crypto podcast for insights while you cry in a pool of despair, only to realize your crypto losses have caused you to run out of tissue paper. And now you've chafed your eyes. This is your place to break down crypto happenings and general bullshit about current events influencing crypto culture. We are growing our audience every week, week over week. Even in this downturn, it's pretty amazing. So we really appreciate everybody out there. Take the opportunity to subscribe. Check us out on our partner website, coinetify.com. Check out Bitcoin Backpackers' daily Twitter rantings. And also, be sure to tune in on your favorite platform. And you can always find us on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Music, Spotify, and again, passively on YouTube.
Tube of the U.
What the F? I mean, seriously, what the F is happening? Who knows?
Nobody knows.
Well, somebody knows. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit later.
Well, I think everybody knows.
Yeah, I think I have an idea. More people are selling than buying.
Yeah.
That's just a theory.
Is it more people are selling than buying, or is it that more
Aliens,
units are
maybe.
being or is it that more units are being sold than bought? And I don't mean to be like nitpicky, but I mean like, but I think it's an important distinction. Is it small? Is it
Yeah.
Well, yeah, or is it both? Yeah.
All of the above. Answer D.
All right. So everybody knows what we're talking about today. The whole world knows what we're talking about today. Bitcoin is once again trending on Google, but not for the right reasons.
Unless you shorted.
Unless you've been shorting. If you've been shorting Bitcoin, then you've been making off like a bandit with all my money.
I mean, not your money. One Bitcoin's still one Bitcoin.
No, but all the money I put in, though, I don't have anymore.
I wouldn't blame that on the shorters.
Yeah, I think they're just making bets.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do you guys think? Why do y'all think it's going down?
I think I really, it's funny. I spent the entire manipulation show defending the idea that there's no manipulation. And the farther we get down, it just doesn't, I don't know, just none of this, to me, this doesn't make sense. Why a rational investor, and maybe that's where I'm getting lost. There's not rational investors. But why would a rational investor at this point take anything out?
Why would a rational investor take anything out on the stock market?
To minimize their loss.
Yeah, but what have you seen crash like Bitcoin? Bisquick.
I remember back in the day that those tulip markets really crashed. I was heavily invested in those.
You remember that?
I remember. I was a young investor back then, but
Old young buck
I was a young buck
back in those days.
getting my tulip bulbs.
I remember when
tulips or polio. Those are the hot things.
I remember when Amazon crashed 98%, when it was up at $192 and crashed all the way down to, I think it was
So
$3.
let me ask you something about that. You remember that?
No, but I remember seeing the chart a couple days ago.
Right. Okay. Well, so that's my point. Then the crazy thing, the thing that makes Bitcoin so unique is that it's like everybody knows about Bitcoin, but nobody really knows anything about it hardly. I mean, but everybody has heard of it and they're into it. With Amazon, I think that like there is a small group of people that were like, oh, hey, this guy's like trying to do like an online Walmart thing. Facebook, same thing. I remember when Facebook first came out, we've talked about this in the show before. I was just absolutely convinced it was a dating website. Because, well, I mean, for instance,
because all these ladies were contacting you.
Yeah. Whoa. What kind of dating website is this?
Well,
They're talking to me?
So you had to put your relationship status on there. I just thought that was really weird. I was like, why would I put my relationship status on a yearbook? Because
I know when I signed my yearbook in high school, I was like, currently single.
Anyways, his girlfriend was super pissed about that.
Yeah. Not as pissed as when I put it on Facebook.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean,
What's
I guess
your point about Amazon?
My point broadly is that the thing that makes Bitcoin very different is that it's not something that was nothing that grew into something. It's something that was nothing that grew into something that is driving back into nothing. And it lost. So Amazon lost 98% from what levels though?
It was $192, and I think it went to $3 back in 2000. Let me see.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people are thinking a lot of different things here. I mean, you ask some people, and they say they think it's just institutions driving the price down for the upcoming bull run that they believe is coming, so they can buy in at a lower price. Or, it could be stop losses being triggered and driving the price down on a bunch of trading bots. I mean, you talk to a whole bunch of different people and you get a whole bunch of different views on what they think is happening. I think with the amount of sell-off, it's a little bit of everything at this point, because we were going pretty low, and we're kind of at another support level here at 3,800. So we can only see where it may go from here. It could break through, and we could potentially see a $3,000 Bitcoin, or it could kind of hover here for a while until a lot of people think, in the upcoming months here in January and February, we're going to get a bit of a turnaround with some positive news coming, because there's been a lot of negative news in the market lately as well.
Yeah, I do think it's suspicious for sure that there's so much hate in the market right now on Bitcoin. And there's so
hate
much
in your heart, let it out.
What power?
Whoa.
He went there.
Yeah.
That's what the skit says.
Mm-hmm.
That's from Chappelle.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure it does.
Breathing all the white man's air.
Like one of the funniest. Okay, here's here's the chart here. So Amazon's high in 2000 was $75.25. Its low in 2001 to 2002 was $5.51. That's a loss of 98%. Let's take another one. Priceline.com. High in 2000 was $165. Its low in 2001 was $1.80. That's a loss of $99.
Where's Priceline at right now?
$1,800.
Yeah, that's a loss of 99.4%. Yahoo.com. High in 2000, $238. Low in 2001, $8. Loss of 96%. Nortel Networks. High of 143 in 2000, low of 76 cents in 2001, loss of 99.7.
Yeah, but what was the recovery? That's the more important part.
I don't know that Priceline is exactly $1,800, just saying, but I know it's one of the pricier stocks, because I like to look at the options on it, and that thing trades over $1,000 regularly.
Wait, it's just never split, or what?
I guess. I mean, I don't really trade that stock, so I don't keep that great of an eye on it, but I know it's a pricey one.
All right. So Let's go. Oh man, Yahoo just broke even. So Yahoo in 2000 was 238.
Yeah, but what does Yahoo have now? I mean,
True, but still, Yahoo is 238, dropped to $8. Now it's at 240. Then Priceline, it was at 165. It dropped to $1.80. Now it's at 1,764.
I was so close.
All right, then let's take Cisco.
What I meant to say was I knew exactly where Priceline was because I watch stocks like a hawk.
Would you say that?
So Cisco is actually down from 2000. Cisco was at high $82 in 2000, dropped to $11 in 2001, and now it's sitting at $44.
I would bet Cisco split since then.
You're probably right. Yeah, I would think so. I mean, that was 20 years ago almost.
Yeah.
But the point is
in the Dow now.
There's a lot of
20 years from now, we're going to be looking back at this like, hey, you remember how crazy it was that one year? And then people are like, oh, I don't even remember that, man. Can you pass me some Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Yes,
No,
I
I mean,
can.
That's kind of how I've always seen Bitcoin is like a 20-year view, you know? It's like a retirement store value. You know, like will Bitcoin ever be the global currency? I don't know. Only time will tell, but I do believe it'll be a good store value, just because of all the deflationary aspects of it.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, nothing has changed about Bitcoin, which is that's the really crazy part, right? That nothing has changed about Bitcoin. The interest may have changed in Bitcoin, or the excitement around Bitcoin may have changed, or people say that they've got this new Satoshi's Vision version of Bitcoin, or they've got their own.
That was Bitcoin Cash.
More cash like version or spendable version of Bitcoin. But at the end of the day, nothing is the same as Bitcoin because it doesn't have a head, right? It doesn't have a titular head. There's no teat.
It's teatless.
Oh,
Some
things have changed about Bitcoin, but for the better. I mean, for one, there were a lot of good things about the speculative run up in January and December of last year. Is one, it got to test the network and see how it would perform with like wide scale use, and it didn't perform very well. But Lightning Network has taken off in the last month. There's like tons and tons of transactions on the Lightning Network now, and it's just blown up in the last month. I was on a website the other day where it was blog posts, and you could like thumbs up or thumbs down the blog post with Lightning payments, and it was instant.
So this is my thing. Like, I think the price is crashing right before a lot of really big things, right? We've got the Bakkt thing happening. We've got the Winklevoss thing happening. We've got Lightning is finally starting to grow and starting to actually work. These are really big things that used to be like every time, something like this would happen. Hell, it used to be every time something like this would happen to some stupid altcoin nobody's ever heard of, it would blow up. And now it's crazy. You follow a group like we followed Linda Coin for a long time. I still own Linda. Linda is a perfect example of what's happening in the market. They'll come out and say, God, we got this new partnership and we're on this new exchange, right? I don't know if it's the biggest exchange in the world or whatever, but they're growing their brand. They're getting on bigger exchanges, right? Bigger than they were last year. It's all positive movement. And for some reason, it's like, it means nothing in the crypto space. It's like, hey, we got this announcement we've done in the last, and that's why I use Linda as the example. In the last 6 months, we've done 50 things to push the ball forward. And it's a small coin, and so it's going forward, not comparable to like a Litecoin or something like that, but it's going forward, and it used to be something that people like saw as like a positive to invest in. And now it's like an announcement will come out, and the market as a whole, or something that happens to Bitcoin or Ethereum, just hammers the whole, just everything downstream, and it's very frustrating.
Well, I mean, I think one of the things is like when you refer to like back in the day, you're referring to last year, you know? Back in the day would be like 2015, 2014, 2009, 2010. You know, that's where you really have to look when you're thinking of Bitcoin. And these alts. A lot of these alts have been around since 2014, 2013 too. You know, they've all been in development for years and years and years. Not all of them, but a lot of them.
Dude, let's talk about Omisego.
Oh God.
Let's not.
WFT.
WFT.
OMG, guys. So their headquarters is in Bangkok. I'm gonna go up there and give them a piece of my mind. Say, hey guys,
let's get this turned around.
Yeah, let's get this back up to $23. What are you guys doing sitting at $28? All the way down to $1. Man,
it's like $1.40, isn't it?
No, I think it's lower than that. It's $1.20.
Shit, I didn't know it was that high.
Yeah,
I'm selling.
Yeah. They got a pump.
Oh, it is. It's $1.40 right now.
A full pump. It's still at the top.
So, I mean, I think like what you see now is the reality is finally setting in that a lot of these projects, they never really had a substantial team that could really produce anything. They never had a working product. They had a lot of vision. They had a shit ton of speculation, and that's about it. And I think the reality is finally setting in that's really where we're at right now. Is we have a few projects that actually have working products that can make something, that can actually like provide value in some way. But then we have a majority of projects that are really just visions or some speculative idea that they're going to do this, this, and this, and this, but they've never really done anything. I mean, like Ethereum, it created a bunch of ICOs. It was like a fundraiser, basically, like a funnel to fund projects through, and it created crypto kitties. But I mean, really, what did it do? You know, I mean, not really that much. Did it change the world? Hell no. And so, like if you really like look at it through a different lens, a lot of these cryptos, they just aren't worth much because they don't really do much. And I think when you're stuck in that speculative bubble mindset, then everything sounds like a great idea because you're thinking like this could change the world, this could change this, it could change that, and they still could all do that, but we're just not there yet. We're really just not there yet. And so yeah, there's a few projects that have good partnerships with actual companies, and they have great teams, and they'll get there someday. But I think people are starting to realize now it's like we're just too early on this. But Bitcoin is completely separate from all the alts in my mind.
Yeah, I think without a doubt, Bitcoin is definitely separate from all the alts. And a company right now that's separating itself from every other retail establishment on the planet.
From all the alts?
Well, it definitively is not an alt because, I mean...
Well, I would disagree and say that I think Ripple has just as much.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I still can't put it in the same category as Bitcoin, but
I think it's
Ripple has. I do see a bright future for Ripple. Yeah, I do, because they do have a working product and it's being used and has a really great use case.
Potentially more than any other coin, even Bitcoin.
Definitely, yeah. Definitely.
I still think the problem with Ripple may be the world currency. It really may be, but
I don't think it'll be a world
garbage.
Currency. Well, I think you got to change your mindset. You're probably thinking it's garbage because it's centralized.
The way we're fighting against the U.S. dollar or the ruble or any of these other fiats.
I think you have to view Ripple a little differently. You can't view it as like this libertarian decentralized view. You have to view it as like an entity trying to solve a problem that's been done a certain way for years and years.
Yeah,
and years.
exactly. Like the dollar. The dollar. You can't view the dollar. You can't view the dollar with a libertarian view because it doesn't match up.
More like Swift, and less like the dollar, because it's not a currency. You know,
XRP is a currency.
XRP is the token that transacts. Like that's how they pay the transaction fees, but it's not a currency. That's just how the transactions occur.
Everything is a currency. Currency is a liquid term.
Yeah. Beanie Babies are a currency.
Beanie Babies can be a currency, right? And cigarettes are a currency in prison. Like cigarettes and soap on a rope.
So Beanie Babies are a currency in prison?
Yeah, that's what he said.
I said Beanie Babies are a currency in prison?
You did say
that. No, he didn't. He said cigarettes are.
Oh, I swear I heard you say Beanie Babies are a currency in prison.
Well, I was wondering if I said that because in my head I was like, I actually said Beanie Babies are a currency in prison like cigarettes. And then I thought before I got it out of my mouth, I fixed it.
Yeah, you did.
I mean, I know if you're Beanie Baby wealthy,
you're living in high cotton.
You live in high cotton.
Look, I got tie-dye Claude the Crab. Okay.
Ain't nobody touching that shit.
Ain't nobody touching that shit. Bitcoin can crash all at once. I'm selling Beanie Babies, bitch.
No, but I mean, while we're on the topic of Ripple, I believe in Ripple more and more, each week, because, and not for the same reasons that I believe in Bitcoin. I believe in Bitcoin
that makes me
because
feel weird that you say you believe in Ripple
as an investment. As an investment, I believe in Ripple because I think there's a real problem.
Just clarify, because that sounds weird.
Well, I don't believe in it like I believe in Santa Claus. I believe in it as a sound. Of course. What the fuck are you talking about?
Who doesn't believe in Santa Claus?
Yeah.
Have y'all ever seen
the movie with Tim Allen?
The Hype Cycle?
The documentary?
Are y'all familiar with it?
Yeah, Hype Cycle Proxy. It's a movie about hula hoops.
No, it's Gartner research methodology called
that one.
The Hype Cycle research methodology.
Ooh, no, never heard of that. What is it?
I posted it on Twitter a while back, and it kind of goes through a chart of what a hype cycle in adoption, maturity, social application, and usage, basically. And it starts with the innovation trigger, which is basically the beginning, and then the peak of inflated expectations, which would be the top, basically.
December, January time.
Yeah, and the trough of disillusion, when it plummets and kind of sits there.
That could be now, or that could be in the future. Yeah. We don't even know.
And then you kind of get the slope of enlightenment when it begins to get adopted into the plateau of productivity.
Yeah, I like that. And so it's like, where are we on there? Right? Where are we on the chart right now? Are we
in the trough of disillusion?
Or are we even not even there yet? Is that $1,000 Bitcoin? Is that $200 Bitcoin? Shit, who knows?
Well, and it doesn't reach the peak of inflated expectations, really. Or in their chart, it doesn't. It kind of levels out in the middle. So in theory, if 20,000 was the peak of inflated expectations, then that's something we may never see again with Bitcoin, is a $20,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, I for one, I would like to see it get down to like $200 again and see how many people really are in it for the tech, really believe in Bitcoin as a long-term, not just investment, but, think that it has like long-term intrinsic value.
Also, with the volatility of it, there's a lot of people that are just straight trading it.
Oh,
They
yeah.
don't believe in it.
No,
They're
definitely.
taking both sides of it.
Look at
They
crypto
could
Twitter.
care. Yeah,
There's tons of people that don't give a shit about blockchain or anything like that.
Look at
They just
BitMEX.
want to trade it. Yeah.
They could care less one way or the other if it goes up or down, as long as they're picking the right way at that moment in time.
Definitely. So, I mean, for me personally, the price movement this year, I mean, sure, everybody wants to see it go to $1 million. If you have any Bitcoin at all, you want to see it go to $1 million, or $1 billion or $1 trillion or whatever. But this short-term price movement, it really doesn't bother me that much. For one, I didn't invest more than I could stand to lose. So I knew going in that I could lose it all. I could lose every single penny. So, I'm okay with with that happening. And
I'm not okay.
well, it's a little late now for Zenfin.
When we first started the show, I remember it's so funny. We're in the trough of disillusionment. Obviously, you go back to some of our first shows, and Hesto's Bitcoin Backpackers, one of his key phrases was "dim gains."
What's that?
Yeah, hell yeah, it's all about them gains.
Yeah. There was a lot of gains to be had.
You just squirt dim gains in about everything, and now
it's a lot of gains to be had.
It shows the disillusionment in the market. It's a perfect expose on it, because you're like, listen, I may have lost everything, but there's light at the end of the tunnel, and so hopefully, but that points just to what Prater was talking about. And we're all there. You know what I mean? Not just you. I mean, we're all there. We're all in this man. Okay. So this is book I read. It's called The Rape of Nanking. Right. And it's about what
reading rape books now, huh? It's a how-to book.
The history book.
A DIY book.
I know it's a history book. It's actually really crazy. It's written about the Japanese during World War II, and they invaded this Chinese city called Nanking, and they literally they killed more people with bayonets than we killed in Nagasaki with the nuclear bomb.
Wow.
And they raped little girls, and they were cutting people's heads off and putting them on sticks. It was getting to the point where people were just getting murdered in these super gruesome and it's more and more gruesome ways. They were using people as bayonet practice. They were blowing people up with grenades, and then so the Japanese were blowing up all these Chinese guys up with grenades, and then they'd have the medics go in there and try to reattach their arms and stuff to practice on them, basically for war. And then they would fix them, and then they would go back and blow them back up and stuff. I mean, it was one of the sickest things that's ever happened in history. But the point that they make,
I'm gonna love to hear how you tie this into Bitcoin.
Yeah, yeah. So the crazy thing was that it's the same thing with Hitler and the Jews in the internment camps. These people, you've got tens of thousands of Jews in these camps, and you've got maybe thousands of guards, and they have guns, yeah, but you'd think everybody could just overrun them if they really wanted to, and nobody did. And the reason is the disillusionment, right? People find themselves in this frog in the boiling water scenario, and there's this little aspect of hope on the other end that maybe my cousins and my mom and dad weren't walked into a gas chamber and killed and carted off on a rail car with their bodies, but maybe they did go to another camp with better conditions. And even though in your heart of heart, that's obviously not what's happening. What's happening is they're mass murdering all these people. But in your heart of hearts, you're thinking, there's no way. And I think with Bitcoin, not to compare Bitcoin to the Holocaust,
Well, you just did.
which I just basically did. But I think people are smart enough to extract the parts that are comparative and the parts that obviously are not.
I can see the similarities.
But people, the idea is that in any different level, obviously there's an extreme example of it in history, but from a market perspective, people invest their time and their money. They put their credit cards in there. I still see people on Twitter talking about,
oh man, they lost their house.
They lost their house, and and they're like, you could see it's crazy. They're fucking upbeat about it, and they're like, well, just hodl dawdle, just hodling, just hodling along. Just can't wait for it to back up. And they quote things like, every time in history, Bitcoin has always surpassed its all-time high when it popped back up. And it may. I'm not saying it won't, and I'm not trying to hurt anybody's hope out there. But I am trying to do the right thing here and say, like, if you're looking for a podcast that's going to get you amped up about buying Bitcoin, that's not necessarily that's not my goal. And it's a really interesting thing about our podcast versus other podcasts. So if you found us because all other podcasts are gone, one thing that's really special about our podcast is that we have three individual people. We have three individual personalities with three individual thoughts. We're not like a collective, like three different versions of the same person.
And we all disagree most of the time. So we get three different, completely different perspectives most of the time.
Yeah. A lot of times I'm right, and then I have to explain it. But but I just want to briefly make the point, if I can use the term briefly at this point, if you're not into the whole brevity thing. So shout out to Bitcoin dude. That you have to be aware of what you're investing in. Like you just said, Hesto, you don't invest more than you can't afford to lose. Or don't invest more than you could afford to lose, rather. And make good decisions. Look for the long term. Invest in projects that work and have working projects. Don't invest in projects that aren't doing anything. And even when you get to the point where you are disillusioned, where you're just at your total wit's end, and you're not really sure what's up and what's down, know that if you just stay the course, right, and really think about your moves going forward, you'll have a much better shot of coming out the other side.
Yeah, and I think one big takeaway from this 2018 bear market is, like, learn something from it, like, I mean, you two, have you guys learned anything from the financially or investment wise from Bitcoin and cryptocurrency so far 2018? Because I have.
I learned how to stay tough.
I've learned that hodling is not the greatest strategy. Hodling, it sounds great when you look at the price of something in 2009, and then you look at that it's like 6,000% up, 10 years later or whatever, or 9 years later. But it's not always the greatest strategy, depending on what your outlook is. Okay, so I mean, for me personally, I do think Bitcoin will reach all-time highs again. My prediction is probably about 2020, maybe mid to 2020, somewhere around there. Right about the time that old McAfee should be getting his dinner ready. But I don't think it's going to happen in January. I don't think it's going to happen next year. But I do think it'll happen again. I do think there's going to be an economic collapse at some point, and I think that adoption will be good enough where money will start to flow into it. That's my like prediction. But yeah, I've learned of a lot of different investment strategies, and I've learned a lot in this bear market. And I think that's one of the main takeaways is if you did lose a lot of money, I hope that you learned something from it. And yeah, I hope that you at least learned that when you're investing in a highly speculative asset, like a cryptocurrency, that you should be careful, because there's a lot of people. Wrecked is an understatement. A lot of people are having trouble feeding their families now because they took everything they owned and put it into Ethereum or something like that. You know, there's a lot of people struggling like really bad right now, and I feel bad for them. And they've fallen off crypto Twitter, but I feel bad for them. But you know, at the end of the day, us and a lot of other smart people, we're trying to say, look, there's potential for a lot of dim gains, but there's also potential for a lot of dim losses. So you should really not invest more than you can lose. And I mean, we could say it a million times, but it's true.
Either way, you be by them beach,
boy.
If I was not Jamaican, then why would I wear this hat? A lot of you don't know that I'm wearing like a Jamaican beanie right now. I wear it like poking off the back of my head. It's pretty dope.
Seriously dope.
Super dope. I'm like an indie rock band guy.
So dope.
Also my ears are like really warm.
The illest.
You're so far from an indie rock kind of guy.
What? You don't know. I love
indie rock.
Indie rock.
I don't think Toby Keith is indie rock.
You know who is though?
I don't listen to Toby Keith. I mean, I listened to Toby Keith today.
Garth Brooks' alter ego.
Chris Gaines.
He's very. Oh my God.
That's who Hesto likes. Hesto likes dim Chris Gaines.
Chris Dim Gaines. That was his name. Oh my God, you're
Chris
right.
Gaines, yeah.
Chris Dim Gaines.
I didn't even know it. I was hoping somebody did when I referenced it.
There's no way I would have remembered, but I do remember that time. Yeah.
I figured Tater might, with his rant on how you can't find Garth Brooks stuff unless it's like a CD.
Yeah, well now he's on Amazon Music.
No, he's moving up in the world.
Yeah, no, he's not. You can get it on Amazon Music. And actually, if I could pick a beef real quick with Garth Brooks, get him on the show.
Well, he is an avid listener of our show.
Well, so Garth Brooks owned a platform. It was called Ghost Tunes, which is like one of the least creative names. Anyways, Ghost Tunes. And I literally paid, because I couldn't find any Garth Brooks music on anything. I paid, my wife paid while I was driving.
I literally paid. My wife paid.
I mean, we have the same bank account, so I paid, but I mean, she like pulled the trigger on it. So it was like $30, and I got like every Garth Brooks CD, like digital. It was like I bought like the full Garth Brooks like everything package, and it was only available on Ghost Tunes. And it was like you could get Garth Brooks, and then with the same thing, you could get Trisha Yearwood. For some reason, you wouldn't want that, but you could.
They're married, aren't they? Or they were?
Yeah.
No, they're married, but I'm just saying you wouldn't want like any of her music.
I like Trisha Yearwood.
I like that one song.
Yeah.
My hope.
No, How Do I Live Without You? Remember that one? And then somebody else remade it. No, that was actually a pretty good one too. It was the theme song from that You're My Hummingbird. Con Air.
Oh, Con Air, that's a good movie. Okay. Acceptable comment. Continue.
Yeah. Con Air. Great movie. Steve Buscemi. Or Buscemi. I think it's actually Buscemi. But I digress.
Yeah, let's talk more about Garth Brooks.
Oh yeah. So listen to this. So so that was the whole point. Sorry. Okay. So you had this Ghost Tunes thing, and you couldn't like all of a sudden it was just gone. Like you couldn't log in. It didn't open up. Nothing. It was just gone. You couldn't get in the music because the music wasn't like downloadable. It was even like you could download it and get it offline, but you still had to get it through Ghost Tunes, I think. But basically it was just gone. Like you just lost your access to it. You didn't get your money back or anything. And it was just gone. The platform was gone. And then all of a sudden, like, I don't know, 6 months later or whatever, he shows up on Amazon Prime. I got to pay for Amazon Prime to get access to his music. And like, there's no, like, he doesn't address it. There's no like press release. There's just all this, like, if you search Google, it's just like all these people on the internet. They're like, what the fuck happened to Ghost Tunes? Me and like the 8 other people that bought this are super pissed.
I mean,
we don't have enough people to form a class action lawsuit, but we are pissed, bro.
my main takeaway is that you signed up for Prime so you could get access to Garth Brooks music.
No, actually, Sarah signed up for Prime.
It's on the air now. You can't take it back now.
No, Sarah signed up for Prime, and then we found like Garth Brooks was on there, and I was like, oh, that's what he's doing. But then I feel like he owes me like $30.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got it.
And like a guitar.
Yeah. When you hear this, Garth, we accept check, money order, or direct debit.
Cash, COD.
Or Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
Or you can perform a concert in my backyard to equal the $30.
Yeah.
A half-second concert.
Good night.
So if we can get off of Garth Brooks for a second, and
let's get off of Garth Brooks and over some stock, because I want to talk about Overstock.com.
I do too, but I have a question for you guys. I wanted to do a little
really good transition.
It was really good.
I prefer Garth Brooks over Chris Gaines.
Cycling is my passion.
I'm sure you can think of another segue here in a second, but I do have a pop quiz for you guys. So with the dramatic price drop in Bitcoin, have you guys lost faith in Bitcoin at all? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, if in December, January time, your confidence level was at a 10 in Bitcoin, where would you say it's at right now?
It's at a 12.
Oh, you're more confident now than you were.
Absolutely, price down, pick up.
Yeah, but I mean, in the future value of Bitcoin, you're more confident.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like I said, nothing has changed about Bitcoin. It's the same thing it's always been. It's only getting features that make it better. You can't hurt Bitcoin. You can't hurt it. It's impossible. You can't hack it, right? Ostensibly, like you can't copy it, paste it. You can't change it. It's immutable. You know, I think I just said the same thing 5 different times.
Yeah.
But those are 5 of the same one really good feature.
Yeah, no, you're right.
You can hurt it though, potentially. I mean, you takes
can manipulate
a lot.
The price, yeah.
Well, you can manipulate the price, and if people stop mining it, then, I mean, if the price goes down enough that enough people stop mining Bitcoin, it's gonna hurt it.
Well, that's what's crazy. That's what's interesting right now is the price is under the mining cost right now. The mining cost is about 6,000, and that's why it held steady at 6,000 for so long. And now, I mean, now that it's at 3,800, 3,700, it's more expensive to mine it than you would get in profits. So what are all those mining farms going to do? I know a big mining farm in China recently shut off their miners. You know. So that's another interesting aspect is since it became so profitable to mine it, and mining operations started popping up everywhere, and now the price is less than it costs to mine it. You know, what happens now? Less people mine it, then the mining costs will go back down, and then the price will start to rise again. That's my theory.
Yeah.
So, I mean, where's your confidence level at, Dustin?
I mean, if I'm being honest,
that's all we want on the Decentralized Talk podcast.
I don't think my confidence level was ever quite as high as y'all's. I mean, I don't think I've really dove into my, I guess, confidence level in the past. I would have said, at the highest, I was probably around a 7. And I'm maybe down to 5.5. I don't know that, I guess I'm more of a skeptical person, and I'm going to have to see it take off and really pick up usage before I believe that it's going to happen. It's going to take And I think it's going to take a lot. I don't disagree with what you said earlier, where I think it's going to take some sort of economic collapse for it to actually get major usage. So, how feasible do I think that's going to be? I mean,
What if it's
hyperinflation in the
yeah.
United States, I think, is unlikely in the near future.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what about like a recession or
I think that's
even a
definitely going to help.
depression? Yeah, I think
And
well, it depends where Bitcoin's at that time. I think that's
yeah.
kind of my
Well,
thought on it. You know, if
and I,
Bitcoin's at where it's, if there was a recession tomorrow, you know, and
what
it just went to the end of the year, or then 2019. I don't think it's a good time that people would be throwing their money into Bitcoin. But if
yeah.
Bitcoin starts getting adopted more, there's ETFs, there's futures, there's all these things get implemented, and then the U.S. economy starts collapsing, then it might have a bright future.
I think what really helps Bitcoin is people love to gamble, trade, and make money. And the volatility of the crypto market feeds into day traders, swing traders, and investment, even major investors, because of the volatility and the potential for quick gains. So even if it doesn't get picked up, I think that there's enough investors out there to hold it up in the meantime until it can get some major backing, get institutional investors, build that market, and then potentially drive the price back up. And then from there, build off of some sort of, recession, economic collapse where it does start to get some usage. So I think there's enough helping it to keep it along until one of those things does happen. I see the use cases for it. I see the technology behind it. I see all that. And I think a lot of people don't, and they just see money, which most people do. So I think in the meantime, those are all things that can help string it along until one of those other factors kind of brings it along to where it should be.
Yeah, very, very good answer.
Well said.
So I mean, where it's at right now, 3,700. If you look at the charts and you look at the RSI, it looks way oversold. Okay, so we were looking at this earlier on the daily chart. I mean, it's at
we slightly disagreed on this earlier.
True. So I mean, if you look at the daily chart, I'm looking at it right now, and
the daily chart is oversold.
Yeah, it's at about 10 right now.
Which, if you're not familiar with RSI, the Relative Strength Index is a momentum oscillator that measures basically the change of the price of an asset over time, and can justify, or maybe not justify, but show if it's being overbought or oversold at any specific time frame.
Yeah, and for the most part, it's a pretty
a lot of people use
indicator to grasp. It's pretty simple, and
but
it's fairly
it oscillates
fairly good
between
accurate
0
indicator.
and 100, 70 being considered oversold, 30 being considered overbought.
Yeah, so right now, at least
the
on
reverse of that, 30 oversold, 70 overbought.
Below 30 would be oversold. Yeah. Above 70 would be overbought. So right. I mean, right now on the daily chart, it's sitting about 10, 11,
which is
around that range,
which drastically oversold.
Yeah, which would tell you that it's probably a good time to buy, but just in the insane drop we're in right now, you can't even say that it is, because if that was the case, I mean, it was oversold yesterday, and it was what?
Well, just because it's oversold doesn't mean it can't be more oversold.
Very true, very true. So I mean, is it oversold? That's the question. Is it oversold? Because if you look at the daily chart, it's more oversold now than it's literally ever been.
But if you look at the 2-hour chart, I mean, it's only at 20, and then on November 20th it was at 11, and on the 14th it was at 8. So I mean,
Yeah, and if you look at the monthly chart,
well, that's kind of
then it's hard. Yeah,
yeah.
it's hard.
You got to look at the weekly chart.
Yeah, the weekly chart's probably a better one to look at. And the weekly chart, it's just now almost into the oversold category.
Yeah, you know the last time it was oversold on the weekly chart? January 2015. It hit 28.
And let's see, what was the price back then?
What, $163.
And did it have a run up after that?
It did. It ran up from the January 15th, it ran up into December 16th to $1,000. So it took it about almost 2 years to run up to $1,000 again, which it was down from $1,000 in November 2013.
Yeah,
so,
that was the Mount Gox incident.
Yeah. So in 2 years from now, we'll be calling this the Bitcoin Cash incident.
I don't know. I really don't believe that all this has to do with Bitcoin Cash.
Man, they sure are pushing that on the news,
on the mass media. Yeah, I know, and I think that's an easy scapegoat, but I don't think that's the reason for all this. I think it didn't help the fact, but no. Honestly, I think the real reason was it was just extremely overvalued for the time being. Extremely overvalued.
Well, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but if I'm not mistaken, old Dirty Dan, Das es Machina, Deus, he posted on one of our Twitter posts about how he thought it was institutions or basically major investors driving the price down to.
Yeah, I think that's a high there's a high possibility of that
to buy in for the potential turnaround here in the next few months, which it's definitely a possibility. I mean, this is not investment advice.
I think, none of this is investment. I mean, if you listen to our show regularly, we don't know what the hell we're talking about. We're just guys that are interested in crypto.
I mean, one of our shows is called Bad Investment Advice.
Yeah. And pretty much every one of our shows can be categorized as bad investment advice. If it was investment,
most of the show is my advice.
But I mean, what I see is that I do think it's oversold right now, and I'm going to continue to pick it up. I'm going to continue to DCA it, but I think this bear market will last longer than a few months. I think this is probably going to be a multi-year bear market. 2018 was the beginning of it. I think 2019 will just prolong it. It'll probably hold steady. It'll probably go up a couple thousand, go back down a couple thousand, and just hold in this little range before the next bull run. But I think it's going to be a long time.
How much Bitcoin do you think Roger Ver has?
Oh my God, I don't know. How much Bitcoin or how much Bitcoin Cash?
How much Bitcoin?
Oh man,
0.
No, there's no way. There's no way that he went all in to Bitcoin Cash. I don't know. He's got a shit ton. I bet you he's got a shit ton. There's no telling, but I bet you he's got a shit ton. Enough that it could drop down to 1,000 and he would still be buying Lambos if he wanted to do that kind of thing.
And he'd be there.
So let me ask you this. Do you think that if you were, let's just say you were somebody who had an incentive to, in one way or another, and you got in on this so early that you just had a retarded amount of it and it basically cost you nothing, and like you said, even if it was $1,000, you still have so much USD worth of it that if he wanted to pull a lot of money out and make a crash, that he might be able to do that? Or he probably has connections with enough people together that they could do it?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that it would have. I don't know if he could make it crash, but he would make an effect on the market, and he might be able to pull it down enough to trigger some sell orders, some stop losses. Maybe.
Yeah, potentially.
But another thing that like comes to mind too is that we tend to, at least on this podcast and a lot of the stuff you see on crypto Twitter and YouTube, and we tend to be close-minded and center it around just the U.S. market. But Bitcoin's a global currency, We don't
that's a good point. Arguably more, it's probably bigger in Asia.
Yeah, and we don't talk much about Japan, China, Korea, and they're way more into crypto than we are here in America.
I don't think closed-minded is the right term.
I could talk about euthanasia all day. No,
closed mind is not the right word.
No Pineapple Express fans.
Closed mind is not the right word. Ecocentric, maybe.
Ecocentric?
Geocentric.
Egocentric. I don't know what the right word is.
All
these words.
American.
I like geocentric. Geography.
Geocentric. I like geocentric.
Okay, yeah.
We're
thinking very geocentric. So we don't consider what these other countries are thinking.
Domestocentric.
So that brings in to another interesting topic is if you look at the stock market. So it's not, we talked about this last episode. It's not just crypto that's doing poorly right now. It's also the U.S. stock markets, the commodities, the Asian markets. The Chinese stock market,
Korea,
Japan. I mean, everything. So where is this money going?
But more importantly, the U.S. stock market. I mean, let's get real, guys.
So I mean,
geocentric.
So if all this money is coming out of all these stock exchanges and all these different financial markets, where is it going to? All these billions of dollars have to be going somewhere. Where are they going? Because they're not going into Bitcoin, because it's just flooding out of Bitcoin too. And it's not going in my pocket because I just checked my bank account.
Well, I think there's a lot of people who are afraid of a financial collapse. There's a lot of things going on. I just sold my house recently. I sold my house for way more than it was worth, and I sold it before it was significantly more than I paid for it. Way more than honestly than I think it was worth. And I literally never even put it on the market. I literally just talked about it with my neighbor. And he was like, "Yes, I'll buy your house."
Your neighbor bought your house?
My neighbor bought my house cash for a price where I made quite a bit of money, and I never even hired a realtor.
So now your neighbor has two houses?
Does your neighbor keep odd hours, have lots of visitors, and have an extremely high light bill?
No.
Will he turn it into a grow house?
/ is he what's known as a rug schmealer?
Yes, the answer is yes.
Sound of silence. He's a rug schmealer.
So wait, your neighbor really does? He has two houses now,
right next to
and he had enough cash on hand to just hand you a briefcase of cash.
No, it doesn't work like that. He wrote a check, but but literally, just plopped it down. And he must have been short in Bitcoin,
or rug schmealing,
or he's rug schmealing. Yeah, but you're talking about a half acre in Houston city limits.
Was it
now? He owns a full acre in Houston city limits with two homes on it, and that could be something that's a very in the future. But my thing is the only reason I'm making that point is to say that I think that we're in a bubble again. It didn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
Well, you lived in Houston. How long did you live in Houston?
3 years. Not even enough time to really get enough equity in the house to like if I would have just wanted to do something with it, I wouldn't have been able to do anything with it hardly. But I could sell it and make a killing.
Property and land is one of the things that gains value and retains value very well, especially in a larger city like that. I mean, land like Bitcoin is one thing you can't make more of.
Well, what about the land in Detroit?
I mean, you still can't make more of it. You just don't want it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, or like land near like power plant. I mean, like Fukushima,
Chernobyl.
Yeah, I got some Chernobyl land. It's hot. Literally, it's like very warm there. It's very warm there.
Too hot for the hot tub.
I mean, I do find it interesting that like, all the financial markets are just
gold
shitting the bed. Well, gold's the hedge, and it's not like gold's just skyrocketing.
No,
it's gold and steady, like it always does. It's up a little bit last time I checked, but not like, oh my God, we just hit the moon with gold. Last time I checked, it was up like 0.8%.
Yeah, it's not up too much. But I think that is one of the major hedges against, and potentially Bitcoin crypto could be that hedge in the future. I think when there's more stability and more institutionalized investors in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still think it is a hedge. I just think that it was way, 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 way overbought, and it wasn't ready for prime time yet. And I think it just got pumped and pumped and pumped by everybody. It was people were pumping each other. They didn't even know it. They were just pumping themselves. It was like a big
penis pump.
Austin Powers penis pump party.
Yeah. Everybody just pump.
Penis pumps and me.
So much pumping.
It's my bag, baby. This kind of thing is my bag, baby.
Look at the Bitcoin chart versus the gold chart. They're not that dissimilar.
Wait, that's a double negative.
Fine. Yeah, because they are similar. A double negative to make a positive.
I see what you're saying.
But I mean, it still kind of looks as similar.
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting.
No, I could definitely see the similarities.
I mean, Bitcoin drops off a little more than gold. It's got a little higher of a trading range, but still, you see the similar overall look.
Yeah. But like I said, a lot of the stocks are shit in the bed, but in the last 24 hours, one stock has surged 26%, and that's Overstock. So
Overstock, you got just what I need.
So Overstock,
that's Wayfair, their competitor.
Yeah. So Overstock recently, the CEO,
who is a Bitcoin fanatic, by the way.
Yes, Patrick Byrne. He is selling the company to go full in on crypto.
Yeah, dude. Okay, think about this. How many times when Bitcoin was at 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, $20,000 were you saying, dude, if I could get Bitcoin at $3,500, I'd mortgage my house. And now here it is. And it's toxic.
I don't know if I would say it's toxic at this point.
Okay, well, that was probably a little harsh. But to the media, in terms of media attention, it's toxic.
Yeah.
So I mean, what do you guys think about old Jack Byrne selling Overstock? I mean, how long has he had that company? 20 years. He's had it for 20 years.
He built it from nothing.
Yeah, and he's going to sell it to go all in on crypto. That's how much he believes in this.
Yeah, also, I think Overstock was going through some weird stuff too. Do you remember recently they had marketing campaigns that were like Overstock.com? Like they were like, it's not a very good name. That's what they was like. It was in the commercial. It was like Overstock.com is not a very good name because we have lots of like new stuff and we don't want to give you the impression that.
I remember those commercials. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess they were effective because I remembered them, but the part I remembered was like, that's weird.
Yeah, but it works.
So then I wonder, like, are they? Maybe they're going through an identity crisis, and he wanted the company to go a different direction than the board wanted to go. I mean, I'm totally speculating on basically all of this.
Yeah, I mean, Overstock's stock price might have gone up 26% today, but it's still down 66% on the year. So it's
okay. Well, then there you go.
It's it's not like it just skyrocketed.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to go full into T0. I think that's his new baby now, and I think he wants to go full in on it. And he's losing a ton of money on it. Actually, I'm reading right here. He quoted. He said, "I don't care whether T0 is losing $2 million a month. We think we've got cold fusion on the blockchain side." So he really believes in blockchain and cryptocurrency. And
do you know what cold fusion is?
T0. It's a movie with Keanu Reeves.
Incorrect. Oh, Cold Fusion is a movie with Keanu Reeves?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know who's in the movie, but yeah, it's definitely a movie. But also, I mean, that movie's based on the technology cold fusion.
Yeah, it's
create power without
some kind of, isn't it like hydrogen creating power without?
It's just the idea that, well, so like in thermodynamics, you gotta take something to get something, and so you can never have like a pure energy source that it's like perpetual motion. You can't have perpetual motion, and so the idea of cold fusion would be like solving perpetual motion. And then because if you could get something that was perpetually moving, right, you could tie a sprocket to it, and it could run an engine, and then it could power a city.
Forever.
So, I mean, I think
deep coin.
So, I mean, when we look back at this in 20 years, Patrick Byrne is either going to look like an idiot or a genius.
Yeah.
You know, which one will it be?
Either way, he's going to be a super rich fucking dude. And people are like, "Oh, you're a big idiot." And he's going to be like, "Oh, yeah, hey, you know what? Actually stir my drink, bro."
Yeah, he'll still be super rich, but it could be like a big mistake of his, you know. He could look back on this and be like, damn, I shouldn't have done that T0 thing. Or he could be like, well, I'm the 6th richest man in the world now. Or, you know, who knows? Yeah. But, I mean, I think he seems like a pretty smart guy. He's definitely built some good companies. So, I mean, if he has faith in it, there's got to be something to it. There's got to be something to the cryptocurrency thing.
Yeah. Nope. I agree.
That was very confusing.
Well said.
As well, that about wraps things up for this episode of the D that you're listening to currently. Sorry about that. It's a bummer. I know we get you all hot and bothered, and I'm going to let you down. I'm going to let you down easy. And I'm going to attempt to say something that makes you feel better next time. Stay tuned to find out whether we have interesting interviews or not. We have some pretty cool ones coming up. We're looking to interview the CEO of Minds.com and the decentralized network that he has created. It's something very special. And we've got some other really cool ones. I'm going to kind of keep them close to the vest for now while we wait to see if they fall through. Check us out at DTalk Podcast on Twitter and Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Follow the Bitcoin Backpacker. What is it at? What is it? What is your handle?
BTC Backpacker.
BTC Backpacker. Check us out on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and not MusicCoin anymore because I don't think it exists.
It's still
links
there.
to the website. It's still there, but we can't. It won't let us upload it for some reason. Links to the website in the description below. If you know somebody at MusicCoin, tell them to fix that, please. Jan Pascal, this is you. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great night or day, whatever time you're listening to this. Stay decent, cryptos.